welcome to the Bobby Buck Show podcast. And on today's interview, we're going to be doing an introduction interview with Reverend Frederick Shaw. And we're going to speak a little bit about mental illness. So we're going to just go ahead and kick it on in and go ahead and say, welcome to the podcast, Mr. Reverend Shaw. How you doing today?
Thank you, Brother Buck. I'm doing fine, and it's a pleasure to be on your show. And I want to, first of all, thank you for allowing me this opportunity and the fact that you're willing to tackle such a controversial topic is just a testament to your courage and the willingness you are to fight for our people.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate that. Yes, sir. Yes. And like I say, this topic kind of goes right along with myself and with some personal things that I had from back in the day. So we're going to go and get this started. I'm going to go to this first question real quick. Everybody just hold on 1 second. All right. So we'll get to this first question is, what is the problem you see with the current mental health?
Well, the real problem that I have with the current mental health system, and I want to make it clear that I'm not against mental health. Anybody would be for better health in any capacity. What I'm actually against is psychiatric abuse. And when I see the mass drugging of our children with drugs that could cause suicide and homicidal tendencies, when I see children being electric shocked, this concerns me, especially when there's no science to back up that any of this is truly effective.
Okay, wow. And that's what I kind of tell people when I communicate with it. It's really just, it's kind of like it's just a mad scientist going haywire and experimenting on people.
Well, absolutely. When you don't have any science behind it, when it's arbitrary in the treatments, when you can go with the same symptoms to 3 different psychiatrists, get 3 different diagnoses, and be put on 3 different drugs. At the Citizens Commission on Human Rights, we are the organization that is trying to put the ethics back into psychiatry and in the field of mental health. Right now, it's a money-making industry, but it's not producing any viable change in people's behavior that cause them to act better, think better, and navigate through life better.
Hey, I understand that too. Yeah, because like I gonna say, like on the next question, how it's gonna come up is like it has been said that in the Black community, we have to remove the stigma of mental illness. So that goes right along with what you just got through talking about.
Right, and see, what I question is who put the stigma there? When I grew up, everybody that I knew that somebody was having a problem mentally, they were challenged in that area, they usually were put in a room, the oldest child was put with them, the family sat down and talked about what Uncle John or whoever he was going through. The neighbors in the immediate area knew what was going on in case he got out and somebody found him, they would know what the problem is. So I don't understand what the stigma is other than an advertisement campaign to get Black people and Hispanic people to go into the field of mental health and become a victim of that system. Because there is no stigma on mental health. The Black community takes it very serious. We take it serious in a lot of different ways, but the problem is that they are putting that on us. That is not something that's actually in the community.
Right. And like I was telling you, like we spoke a little bit yesterday on it, like I have my own personal demons on the battle with prescription drugs, psychiatric drugs myself, because I had went to the rehab several times, and then the one time I went, they had gave me something called Halidol, and then the next day they gave me on Trazodone, and then when I, my family, everybody knew me, said, "Let's go, that's all Bobby Buck right there." But then I started having mood swings and started acting different, and I actually tried to. Well, I wanted to commit suicide. I started having suicidal thoughts, and I didn't really understand why until I moved out here to LA and understood what those type of drugs does to the mind. So, but I was like, yeah, because I remember one night I wanted to get so drunk and walk out in front of a train. I went and got me some liquor, some beer, and I was just tossing it up to get enough courage to do it. But luckily, I got too drunk, couldn't walk.
Wow.
so, so I'm still here.
Well, the tragedy is that there are a lot of Americans that face that same thing. You would think an industry that is dealing with the mental health of people would recognize the danger of such drugs as trazodone and Haldol, and that they do cause people to commit suicide. What is more appalling to me is the fact that they're doing this to our children. And what could be wrong with a child that we would give them the death sentence? You know, if we say if one child can be saved from drugs, it's worth it. If one child can be saved from being shot by a gun that should have been properly secured, it's worth it. But we don't say if one child is saved from committing suicide or homicide on prescription drugs, we don't take that stand. And that, to me, is a very dangerous way to operate in life when we're actually arming the children mentally to be able to wage war on people that they know or don't know.
Right. I like something you said yesterday when we was talking about self-homicide.
Yeah, well, the thing is this. The drug manufacturers will put in their commercials that these drugs can cause suicide.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not advertising that these drugs can cause homicide. But you know that it can do both, because a suicide is just a homicide done to yourself.
Yeah.
So if you will kill yourself, you will kill other people.
True.
And you know, we are looking at a society where people are walking around talking to themselves. They have twitches, and now on the commercials they're saying these tics and twitches and things like that is caused by the medication is normal reaction to the medication. Well, that should not be a reaction.
Right.
And so those type of drugs shouldn't even be on the market.
Especially, like you say, without it really no scientific facts.
Exactly. And the FDA is supposed to check how effective a drug is, how dangerous a drug is. And these drugs are being put on the market, unfortunately, because a large percentage of the people who make the decisions in the FDA work for the pharmaceutical companies. So everybody know you don't bite the hand that feeds you. So drugs are being pushed through, electroshock devices are being allowed to exist without ever doing the proper testing and going through the trials that are needed to make sure that they're safe for the public.
And what's a trip? I don't want to get off the topic or anything, but during the coronavirus, I've been seeing, maybe for the past week or two or something like that, but actually this morning, they talking about with the two medications they use together that can help treat it. They're now trying to stall that coming out.
Well, let me just say, I'd be very careful of anything coming out, especially if it came out this year, because of the fact that these things have to really be tested. They can't be quick fix.
Right.
I know that I had malaria. And so the drug they gave me for malaria was on the bottle. The warning says could cause hallucinations and nightmares and stuff. So I'm not sure I would want those drugs put into the system as a cure for this, because unfortunately right now we can't trust that field.
That's true. No matter what. Right.
And you mentioned the coronavirus, and I want to say this about that. On television right now, they're getting people will call your mental health physician if you're feeling anxiety and things like that. A friend of mine just told me before we went on the air how they were feeling. And I was saying, but that is a normal reaction for the condition that we're in. We have a threat of a virus that we're being told that could cause mass casualties.
Right.
So, what is the appropriate response? What is the appropriate emotional feelings that we're supposed to be having? Well, if it's a normal thing, then why would we call it a mental illness? See, if my mother dies and I'm sad about that, that's the appropriate reaction for my mother dying. What am I supposed to do? Laugh and cheer and jump up and down? So they're saying if I stay sad, if I stay sadder than longer than you, then I'm suffering for depression. Some things in society we have to work through, and we've been working through since the beginning of time. And this new thing in the last, especially in the last 40 years, where everybody needs to be looking at being medicated. Since the 60s, this has been pushed in. Since the 70s, it's been shoved in. And right now is all on top of us. And what is the result of it? The Bible says you will know it by its fruit. Well, veterans are killing themselves at 22 a day. We have more homeless people than we've ever had. The homeless population has exploded. More people on medication, 6.7 million children on these drugs. Where's the benefit? How come nobody's getting better? And that's what we need to be looking at. They tell you go on these drugs and you might have to be on them for the rest of your life. Well, that benefits the people making money on it, but does it benefit the actual people who's taking the drugs? And you know that from your own self.
Right. That's why I was blessed to be able to get off of all of it. And another thing I was thinking about, like I said, with everything being natural, like say, people, I don't believe people are bipolar. I believe life is bipolar, and people have a hard time coping with life. And that's what's going on to my next question is like, what should we do what should we do as a people in general, but especially Black people, to cope with mental illness?
Well, one of the things that we want to do is understand that we have to take responsibility for our conditions. You have just said a very important thing. I've actually said this in the past. Life is bipolar. I've been one step literally from being rich, and I've been one step literally from being homeless. Life has its ups and downs. It is our own resolve, our resiliency that allows us to overcome the things that are detrimental in our life. I want to say this to Black people. You have gotten through slavery, the civil rights movement, where dogs and water hoses were sucked on, during a time in this country where Black people were lynched, when most had to walk in fear, and we didn't have these drugs then, and we got through all of that. So now these things that we're facing in life, now, why is it that they're making us where we can't seem to work through any of our problems? Our poor children are now in such a state that somebody that they don't even know can talk about them on the internet and they will kill themselves. This is what happens when you start dumbing down society and changing the narrative of survival. And I think we need to go back in time when people were working to achieve. We need to set goals. We need to work toward advancement of ourselves, our communities, and others. And if we do that, we will find that you practically have to have a decent mental state to do that. But we got to look forward, and we can't be taught, nothing's our fault, don't take responsibility. We don't even now believe in God. We think we can replace prayer with appeal. This is what's killing our society, and it's being done by a group who doesn't even believe that man is a spiritual being, that believes that men are animals.
Yeah. So that shows approval of how they treat through the treatment.
Well, once you decide that man is an animal, then when you see things like the Holocaust, when you see things like slavery, or the civil rights movement, when you see things like apartheid, that's what you do to the animals you don't like. But if you believe in the spirit, if you believe in a higher power of God, then you don't do those types of things, because then you believe there is the laws that you reap what you sow. But if you don't believe that you're a spiritual being, then, killing me is no different than slaughtering a dog.
That's true on that point.
And a lot of us will say, don't ever mention slaughtering my dog. But we will kill rats. We're all in the same category when we're all animals.
That's an interesting way to look at it too. So, like with the psychiatric part of life, it's kind of more like torture, anyway. So,
well, when you look at electroshock therapy, we've done at CCHR in-depth study. We've created a documentary that I'm gonna make sure that you get for having me as a guest on the show. And this documentary talks all about electroshock. And the actual name of the documentary is Therapy or Torture. Because it's amazing that we can't electroshock prisoners of war and terrorists, but we're doing it to children and pregnant women. That doesn't make sense.
Wow, I tell you what. So we go just end it right there, because we're gonna get people want to come back for more for sure now, because we're gonna really go big with this topic. We're gonna do a big promotion, and we want to get all people. We're gonna have panelists. Like I learned on Zoom, I can have up to 100 people on here, but I ain't gonna get that many. We're never getting them done. But we're gonna have like maybe 5 or 6, maybe 8 panelists on the show. We'll go Dr. Shaw. Reverend Shaw. Or is it Doctor?
Reverend Shaw. Everybody always get them confused.
Yeah.
It's Reverend Shaw.
All right. But we're going to have Reverend Shaw on here, and we're going to have several more people. We're going to get people from all communities, from all walks of life, from all over the globe, not just here in LA, because we want to really push this and really get the information and spread it all around. So so how can people get in contact with you, or you got any information for people?
Okay, let me give you some information. Right now, you can contact me, Reverend Shaw, at cchr.org. You can email me. I will respond to the emails. I will answer any questions that you have on the subject. Once we're up and rolling again, you can come to CCHR Psychiatry and Industry of Death, and we're located at 6616 Sunset Boulevard, Los Angeles, 90028. You can come there, and we give a 500-year history on this topic, from its origin all the way through to the modern day educational system. And then also you can look up Frederick Shaw, Reverend Frederick Shaw, CCHR, and our Facebook page, and you can communicate with me through that. So there's a lot of ways to get in contact with me, but the best way is Reverend Shaw at cchr.org.
All right, cool. And I'm work on adding all that to the post and everything, so people can go directly to you. And once y'all do that, just tell them that Bobby Buck sent you. Might give you an extra treat.
There you go.
Yeah, And plus, like I said, we want to welcome everybody to be on for this next show. We're going to put a big promotion out, and we want to get everybody involved, and we're going to push it on out to the masses and see what happens. And I'd like to say once more, thank you, Reverend Shaw, for coming on to the show, to the podcast, and we're going to be doing plenty more of these.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, and I look forward to it.
All right, y'all, and we out of here. Peace, and I'm out.
Peace.